Welcome back, folks. Whoo boy, that RWA show. Man, what a swerve at the end. That was absolutely fantastic. Speaking of swerves, we're not going to be speaking about swerves. We're going to get into a little segment that we like to call Remember When. Remember when. Remember when. Remember when. Folks, boy, Daniel Bryan put on a clinic this week. He did fantastic work with all those involved, especially Antonio Cesaro. But he wasn't always known as Daniel Bryan. There was a time where he was known as the Dragon, the American Dragon. When he was he the American Dragon?
Yes,
he was.
Okay, all right, thank you. He was known as the American Dragon. He went by another name, Bryan Danielson. That's right, folks. He was the greatest wrestler in the world before he was the greatest wrestler in the world. And this week on Remember When, we're going to take a little trip through the time machine, the indie time machine, remembering our favorite, not Daniel Bryan, but Bryan Danielson moments. I'll start. They had a very short-lived feud in Ring of Honor. He was the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion, or world champion, or whatever the fuck their big one was. And he came out, he was a big heel, and he had the full beard like he has now, and he was angry and violent, and he was like, I will beat anybody in that locker room, I don't give a shit, which, always brings out somebody interesting, and boy, did it. Who did it bring out? Delirious. That's right, folks. Shit. The gibbering madman, almost comedy act up to that point, came out, and he got the fuck kicked out of him by Bryan Danielson. Holy shit. He was like tearing holes in his mask and beating him, and he was bleeding all over the place, and it was absolutely incredible. The character of Delirious was different from that point on. They put on a phenomenal match together, absolutely incredible. That is probably my favorite Bryan Danielson match. Specifically, this was back in the day, and there was a fan video made to it, set to Welcome Home by Coheed and Cambria, and it was awesome. Do yourself a favor, you can find it on YouTube, find it, listen to it, watch it. It's absolutely fantastic. Wrestle fan, I know you got a good answer.
Welcome Home by Coheed and Cambria. Ironically enough, current NXT theme song, so tie shit around. The first Ring of Honor DVD I ever bought, I don't remember the date. I remember it was in Chicago, and it was an event called Better Than Our Best. And on this event, Bryan Danielson defended the Ring of Honor World title against Lance Storm. And that was a pretty spectacular match. Those two guys gelled very well together. That was my first time seeing Bryan Danielson, and I loved it, and I thought it was amazing. And it really, gave a sense of what he was all about. That whole fighting spirit, the whole, everything, based on technical ability, and the fact that can be something, and that also, going like 3 or 4 years later, after I bought that DVD, I got to see Bryan Danielson live for the first time at an event that Sorg and Lunchbox and a bunch of other Pittsburgh people were at, and that was the Chikara show in Cleveland, Ohio, where Bryan Danielson made a bit of a run of the indies after coming back from being someone else and choking someone. He made a run of the indies, and I got to see him in like a little just hot, what was it, almost like a VFW sorta, like wrestling Tim Donst.
Yeah, I think it was like an American Legion.
It was
building.
a moose.
It's wrestling Tim Donst in a fucking awesome match, and it was an amazing experience, and I remember that experience a lot. And Bryan Danielson, to that point, is one of my favorite professional wrestlers. Rizz!
Lunchbox, you stole mine.
Rizz?
You took mine.
Did I?
Wow.
Yeah, I was going for the Danielson and Delirious bloodfest that was when Delirious impaled his own hand to the ring post. But to go back to the few years after the few months after he did what he did, I want to. The first YouTube video I saw of him afterwards was him and Kenny Omega doing the spot that never ends. It was just him and Kenny Omega just going back and forth against the ropes, doing the crisscross and everything. And it was one of the funniest videos I've seen then. And if you had time, you can play that right now if you want. And I'll watch it over and over and over and over and over again. The fans started singing along the lamb chop song, but with the spot that never ends, and it's awesome.
You need to find that one. I haven't been able to pull it up.
I'll look for it. Sorg.
Please, yes.
You run the show, Sorg.
All right. Well, I found everybody else's videos, I think, and I put them all on Twitter and on the Facebook and everything. So you guys go check the board and let me know if those are the correct videos that you were talking about, and people can go check them out, or put other ones and put your favorite ones, because a lot of these are on YouTube, of course. And amazingly, I said I need to before the thing I need to look at this because I don't remember much of this night. But I actually have a program that sits here in the studio here. It's kind of one of my mementos. This, I believe, was my first Ring of Honor show, as I mentioned in the past. Death by Dishonor 6 in New York City at the Hammerstein Ballroom, August 1st, 2008. Four-way elimination match for the ROH Championship. Of course, had Bryan Danielson. Also had Claudio Castagnoli. Hey! You know, of course,
who the fuck is that?
Mr. Cesaro, we saw last night. Also, one Tyler Black.
Who
had a killer match. Wasn't that a month ago? Seth Rollins had his Bryan Daniel. Oh, I'm confused now. That guy.
Very confusing segment.
Yes.
Bryan Danielson.
And the last,
I had it written down. I had to keep looking at it.
it fucks with me so bad. And then the last member of that, of course, was one now not wrestling anymore. That's the wrong one. It's a couch.
Couch.
Nigel McGuiness.
Hey.
So I'm so glad that I found this thing, because
not low key
relive. That's me again, or that's not me again. There I am. So yeah, I again, that was like my first Ring of Honor show. I had not had the opportunity to watch much of this stuff on YouTube or DVDs or stuff like it sounds like you guys had. So I was wildly uninformed on this guy going into everything. So there you go. And now it might be the height. I don't know. Let's see what happens at SummerSlam. You know, what do you think? I mean, holy crap! Did we even talk about this last week? Probably not. We went on a whole other way, didn't we?
I got yelled at last week.
But I mean, seriously, like
you always get yelled at.
It was at that point where if they said any other name last week on Raw. Wow, I'm glad that's where they were going with that, right?
At least I hope that was where they were going.
And I know there's probably some social engineering in there. Wait, real quick, from the chat room. Tony Garza, PWG 100, one of the funniest matches ever. I'm presuming.
I think that's the part that's from Rizz's match.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
He says favorite Dragon match: Bryan Danielson versus Takeshi Morishima at the Manhattan Mayhem 2.
Mm-hmm.
And Leg Kick brings up a good point about mine. The best part about that was he did at the Cleveland show. He cut a post-match promo saying that he was going to go to TNA. And so we could see Desmond Wolfe versus Lloyd Boner.
Oh, I remember that. I remember seeing that video. If you guys can find these on YouTube or anything, please put them on the Facebook board. Tweet us or anything so we can share them, so everybody can kind of flash back them. I mean, guys, at this point, this stuff's readily available on YouTube. You know, I know.
Leg Kick says best Bryan Danielson match was versus John Cena on Velocity in 2003. Not really.
There you go. Awesome. But you know, seriously though, we're going into SummerSlam. We got John Cena versus Bryan Danielson. Fuck. Daniel Bryan. That guy with the beard that hates neckties. what do we think going in? Are we like, is this the time, or is this another kind of test run for him?